Welcome to the channel. Welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before getting into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with this story actually that caught my attention today. Source Manchester United ready to pay asking price for bargain Arsenal a transfer target. Now this is coming from caught offside, not the most credible source, someone we do need to take with a pinch of salt, but this is a player that we have had more credible links with us recently scouting, and it's Jeremy Jacquet. So in the report, it says that Manchester United is showing an interest in talented young Rennes defender Jeremy Jacquet. Jacquet, as first reported here in my daily briefing exclusive, Man United manager Amorim could do with more depth at the back, especially with Harry Maguire coming towards the end of his contract and with Lissandro Martinez's poor injury record. It does go on to say that Chelsea, Tottenham, Palace, as well as RB Leipzig are potentially in for the lad as well. Further on the report, it says the talented 20-year-old will also have a pretty low asking price in the region of 30 to 40 million euros, which shouldn't be an issue for the Red Devils. United scouts have given glowing reports. One source told me they've noted mature performances, aerial dominance, smart positioning, and calm distribution, all the best traits of a modern centre-back. Figures at Rennes have been described as resigned to losing Jacquet in the near future, and his asking price will surely invite bidders, as he could move for between 30 to 40 million euros. So what's that, like 25 to 35 million pounds? In all honesty, that's a bargain in this market. Another source told me that figure won't be a problem for United and Arsenal. So he's a very interesting profile of player, clearly very talented, clearly very highly regarded from Rennes and within the sort of industry. I've been doing a little bit more research since we were linked with scouting him. I think it was last week. The reports were just coming out from other outlets as well. Does look like a tidy player. Definitely one that I would be, you know, happy for United to sort of go for. 20 years old, 25 to 35 million pounds. I don't know if that would be, it's more likely to be a summer deal, I suspect. But then if we went back to yesterday's video and Andy Mitten suggesting that United are going to be looking for a centre half, two midfielders, centre half, and potentially another attacker or a winger, or that maybe somebody that could play at wing back as well in Amorim's system if he's still in charge by the summer as well. But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings. I think he's a really good player. I think there's a good link as well between like the French league and the Premier League as well. I do think it's a league that players can adapt into, because I think the French league's quite a physical league as well. Like, I'm more comfortable signing players from League One than I am from the Eredivisie. That's for sure. Especially with our track record of doing that as well recently. So yeah, definitely an interesting profile of player. Would want to see a little bit more credibility though, that where that story's coming from. But it is like the second or third time that we've had reports that United are scouting and looking at this player, as well as there's a couple of others, I think, wasn't there, from the French league and specifically from Rennes as well, that were linked with scouting. And if we are looking at to bring in a centre half, then he's clearly got the attributes that would be maybe suited for our style that we want to do. Good ball playing. He does look like a very talented, very highly regarded young player. And for 25 to 35 million pounds, as it said in the report, that is a little bit of a bargain nowadays, especially when you think what we paid for Lenny Yoro, who's a similar. I don't say similar profile, but was also very, is regarded as one of the best young defenders across Europe for his age group that we managed to get. And we've obviously paid a little bit more for him to fend off the competition and effectively stop him going to Real Madrid, didn't we? So yeah, interesting profile. Get involved in the comments. Give us your thoughts. Give us your shouts. What you're thinking? Good option. Bad option. I think for that sort of price, gotta be in the conversation anyway for somebody with his talent. But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think regarding that. Now, from one potential bargain to another one, and that's Ederson. So this is quotes from Ederson's agent that has come out in a report via Sport Witness. So Ederson's agent has said, "I believe Atalanta will sell him in the winter or summer transfer window. His contract is nearing its end, and he could leave for half of what Atalanta was asking, between 25 to 35 million pounds. So that would actually be another, considering we were quoted 60, 70 million pounds for Ederson." in the past. Again, another sort of, cheap deal, 25, 35 million pounds, an opportunity signing for Ederson, who is a player that has, been linked with us multiple times in the past. The only thing the concern I have regarding that is we've not really had any recent links with Ederson. A lot of the links that we had were when Eric Ten Hag was in charge, and we've got different scouting, different recruitment teams now. We're looking at more of a data-driven recruitment process. Obviously, we just hired a new chief scout yesterday as well, that's come out to work alongside Christopher Vival, the former Brighton scout that's very highly regarded, got an eye for young talent, etc. And the rumors with, or the links with us and Ederson have pretty much died for the last 12 months. Like, I've not seen very many reports linking us with Ederson of any substance anyway. So, it could be one, if he is still on the list and still on the potential agenda, 25 to 35 million pound from his agent as well, who will obviously know, suggesting that actually maybe they could do a deal in the winter as well. That would be another pretty cheap deal that United could do if the interest for Ederson is still there, because I do think the majority of the sort of serious links and the credibility regarding it has evaporated and gone. I don't think we've been linked with him probably since Ruben Amorim came in, if not a little bit before that as well. So we'll pay attention to it. That could be one that either goes one of two ways. It's either going to disappear and die, and we're not going to hear anything other than about Ederson, or could pick up a little bit of legs, and maybe we'll be talking about it more in the next few weeks and stuff. But yeah, give us your thoughts, Ederson. I mean, you could get two players there for like what, 50 to 70 million pounds in Jacquet, good young centre half, and Ederson, who's a good, ball playing or good midfielder to bring in somebody that we have had links with in the past. Like, that wouldn't be, it would be, it wouldn't. I don't know whether we're going to do it or not, but that's possible, I would say, for those sort of prices. But yeah, give us your shouts on that in the comments below. Now, there's been a report of it all come out yesterday from Rob Dawson, which I want to run through a couple of the points that I picked up from here. So firstly, Manchester United will look to bolster their options at wing-back next summer, sources have told ESPN, alongside their pursuit of a central midfielder. And I do think that the wide areas, or wing-back or full-back, is a massive area that we do need to improve on as well, because, especially under Amorim's system, the wing backs are massively important, and we can see the drop off when Ahmad doesn't play there. Then we drop off a cliff, and then Dorgu and Dallo on the left are not exactly, tearing up trees neither down that side, are they? So I do think it is a massive area that we need to look at. And even if Amorim's not here and we no longer play the sort of three at the back, or the wing back system, getting in a wide player that can still play in a back four, that can still be attacking and can still help us out, or an extra winger to play in like a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 going forward, I do think is a profile that we do need to go for. But so that's interesting on wing backs. On the midfield, Rob Dawson said that United are assessing their options to strengthen their midfield. Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton, Carlos Baleba are among the names in the frame. Work has also been done to assess Wolves pair Joao Gomes and Andre, so there's a new name to keep an eye on, as well as Stuttgart's Angelo Stiller and Atletico Madrid's Conor Gallagher. And there's no smoke without fire, and they're the names that we are heavily linked with. Andre's a new link from Rob Dawson, but the other six, there's something in it, isn't there? When you keep constantly getting linked with the same names and the same players, I think there is interest in those. And the sad thing is, I was thinking about this before recording the video, and I don't know whether this says more about the quality of the players that we're looking at, or the quality of our current midfield. Is, I think all of them improve us, and I don't know which way around that is. Is that because our midfield is so bad at the moment that any of those additions I think would be a step in the right direction, or is it that they are just all good, all really good midfielders? I don't know which way. We'll all have different views on that. I think the first one, personally, I think our midfield is a massive cause for concern at the moment. But yeah, I've got no issues with anyone on that list, because I all think they would be an improvement, and it's just a case of how much of an improvement, because we'll all have our preferences in terms of which order you would sign those players in. But yeah, in fact, give us your thoughts in the comments below on that. Now, going back to the report, It says that sources have told ESPN that the club's recruitment plan next summer revolves around bringing in at least one top-level central midfielder, but there's also a feeling that head coach Ruben Amorim needs more depth at wing-back, and inquiries have been made about the potential availability of a number of targets. So I wonder if that's why we were linked yesterday with Selic, wasn't it? I think who's a right wing back, plays for Roma, out of contract in the summer. Potentially could be an opportunity for January as well on a reduced sort of fee rather than Roma losing him for nothing. And that would the story was yesterday that we've made an inquiry, so maybe that's linked with that we are actually looking at a wing back or wing backs as a more attacking wing backs is the brief on that. So we'll keep an eye on that one for you. Going back to the report, though, it says United have believed their financial position will allow them to continue to invest in the squad. It does say here, though, I forgot to highlight it, that sources have told ESPN that the club are approaching the January window with caution and would prefer to do a bulk of their transfer business next summer. However, sources have told ESPN that nothing has been ruled out, particularly because there is more than 1 month until the transfer window opens and plans could change before January the 1st. And that's where we're getting the narrative around opportunities because, if Wolves are effectively relegated in by January or by Christmas if they have a really bad run of games, and there's no way they might look to cash in on Joao Gomes early while his stock is still high, rather than getting relegated and then clubs coming in and lowballing them. That could be an opportunity. Or someone like Ederson is available for 25 to 35 million pounds. If he's a player that we are still interested in, could you do that? If Jacquet, if the club comes in to bid for him, could you move for him? And so on and so forth. So there's plenty of things that could potentially play out, but Rob Dawson's saying that they don't know. Not we know we're not going to get our main transfer targets done in January because half of them are not going to want to leave their clubs. But there could be an opportunity to do stuff, which is what's been reported anyway. And then I wanted to highlight this part to you as well. So it says, still, despite the outlay, there's an acceptance from club bosses that there are limitations within the squad Amram is currently working with. So again, so that's interesting because for those that are Amram was coming for an absolute load of criticism after not just the result against Everton, it was the performance, wasn't it? It was the performance that just, for me anyway, it just brought out my the scars from last year because we had too many of those. We witnessed those sort of performances too often last season, and the one hope from this season was that at least we would, be a bit more competitive, be a little bit more aggressive, or not see those type of performances. And the Everton one was an absolute stinker, wasn't it? It just took me back to Grimsby, took me back to the Europa League final, and plenty of other Premier League games that we saw and witnessed last season where we were just absolutely second best at everything across the pitch, which is not a nice feeling. And it's especially as a United fan where we should be, the cream of the crop and setting the standards and stuff. And we're just not doing that at this particular moment in time. So, and it brought out all of those, feelings and thoughts within me anyway after the performance. But it's interesting going back to the report that there's an acceptance that actually they do acknowledge the fact that the squad's not good enough. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now, sticking with the midfield, there's been this is a bit. It's like a trust me, bro source, right? So I saw it in the Manchester Evening News saying that Manchester United are reportedly planning a move for Federico Valverde, according to Spanish outlets. It's noted that United are planning to submit an offer that would exceed 120 million euros or 105 million pounds for the Uruguayan. The news comes following claims from Spanish media that Valverde is not happy with manager Xabi Alonso. Elsewhere, Cope's journalist Aranka Rodriguez claims Valverde is one of 6 Madrid players who are unhappy with Alonso. So I do not know the source. I've looked it up and I did a bit of digging and research and stuff. Not the most credible source coming from Spanish outlets suggesting that United are going to make an offer of 105 million pounds for Valverde because Valverde's unhappy with his current situation with Xabi Alonso. And it's not the first report. I think there's a story going around that Vinicius Jr. is also not happy with Xabi Alonso. Real Madrid will sack Xabi Alonso before they sell 6 of their unhappy players. Like, that's for sure. They will not sell Valverde, Vinicius Jr., and whoever else is not happy with Xabi Alonso. They will sack Xabi Alonso, in my opinion, before they do that. So it's not coming from the most credible source. And if we, as much as I would like it, because Valverde's obviously he's, a world-class midfielder and one of the best around at the moment, I'm going to say take that story with a little tiny pinch of salt, because I'd want to see a little bit more credibility when that's coming from, because it's just, Yeah, complete waffle, in my opinion. Now, from one story that's complete waffle to another one. So this is coming from Fachajes, who, in my opinion, are the worst source of information out there, saying that Barcelona hold a 35 million euro option to make Rashford's loan from Man United permanent, but Paris Saint-Germain are readying a 50 million euro offer to hijack the deal and bring him to Paris. Now, that's a story that could be plausible because we know there has been interest from Paris in Rashford, and obviously he's doing well at Barcelona as well, but yeah, it's come from Fachajes, and that's all I'm going to say regarding it. They are the worst source of information out there, so we're going to need to take that one with a little bit more pinch of salt than the Valverde story coming out before that. But now this is interesting regarding Joshua Zirkzee. So again, it's coming from Italian media. So Corriere dello Sport saying that Roma have Zirkzee's approval and agent commissions are sorted. Now they must find an agreement with Manchester United. Roma want a loan with a buy option, but United prefer a permanent sale in January. Roma can't buy in January due to UEFA restrictions, so they want to delay the 25 to 30 million euro payment to summer, depending on their final league positions. So this is coming via Sport Witness, like I said, Corriere dello Sport, suggesting that I think they were the news agent that brought the story yesterday, saying that Zirkzee had said yes to a move to Roma, apparently suggesting that Roma's they've sorted out. They've got Joshua Zirkzee's approval. They've done the agent commission, and now they're just trying to sort out a deal with United. United want to do a permanent transfer, but Roma can't afford a permanent transfer, so they're looking to do a loan with an obligation to buy, depending on their league position and so on. But I'm very, very skeptical about Italian media because there was all the nonsense from them regarding Jadon Sancho in the summer, which David Ornstein come out and just completely poured cold water on, because we had all the nonsense around he's close to going to Juventus and medicals are being booked and all of that waffle, and it never materialized. So David Ornstein did this interview on NBC the other day when he was speaking on the futures of Xerxes and Mainu. He said, first and foremost, there's still a lot of time until the January window opens. We cannot say anything with certainty. There's no concrete news and nothing is set in stone. I think West Ham have shown an interest in Xerxes. Reports say Roma too in Italy, but from what I hear, that's not necessarily the case. There's been no progress on a new contract for Kobe Mainu that expires in 2027. There's an option to extend it by a year. United would need a replacement if he was to go. So again, David Ornstein suggesting that actually reports from Roma in Italy is what he's hearing. It's not necessarily the case. So you've got Corriere dello Sport and Italian outlets like that, effectively like the previous slide, if I bring it back up, basically looks like it could be possible that Xerxes going, because if they've agreed, if Xerxes said yes, and we've got agent commissions, and now we're effectively working on the deal around a loan with an option to buy and all of that stuff. But again, I think David Ornstein's poured cold water on it, basically saying that reports say Roma too in Italy, but from what I hear, that's not necessarily the case. So again, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. He's not completely shut it down like he did with Jadon Sancho, but with Sancho, he was like, I have no idea where all these reports are coming from for Juventus, because that's not what's going on at all. And I think he's done exactly the same with the Joshua Zirkzee situation. Doesn't mean that it won't happen, couldn't happen. I still think that he could potentially go in January, but I think it's going to be a case in January where we're going to need to remove players to bring players in, not necessarily sell to buy, but just for squad depth, because we don't have enough games at the moment for some of the players that we've got. So if you added more on top, it's just going to create it's going to create a bit of problems behind the scenes with the environment and atmosphere and stuff. So I do think it would be a one in, one out potential situation in January if we do any business. And Joshua Zirkzee is one that definitely, definitely plausible that he would want to leave to try and get minutes and stuff. And but yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. I'd want to see more credibility. Like I said, I think David Ornstein's kind of poured a little bit of cold water on that one personally. But give us your opinions on that in the comments below, as I'm sure you will. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Don't forget, smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.